And welcome to another episode of More Than Dice. I'm Gonzo.
I'm John.
I'm Kathy.
And we are on episode 202. Tonight's episode, we're going to be talking about RPGs because in the pre-ramble, we were really getting into RPG talk. And it's actually a topic we can actually talk about without any preparation, in my belief.
When do we ever prepare anyways?
Yeah.
That's true.
Let's be honest.
Yeah, we well, sometimes we prepare, but it's very, very, very rarely.
No. You prepare. You don't tell us the topic until we're starting, so we can't prepare.
No, there's been a couple, but it's been very few.
That's
There are the
true.
exceptions that prove the rule.
There have been a few.
Yeah, there has been a few.
But tonight, we're winging it with role-playing games.
Yeah, which is actually a topic we can actually discuss in length a lot, so that's not a big deal. So let's go ahead and get our business out of the way. We want to thank Mini Masterworks for sponsoring us. If you haven't seen, look in the chat. And if you're listening on air, go check our Facebook page. And thank you, Xander Warlord. Everybody has to keep their cat ears on for another 30 minutes because I was about to take them off. Check out Mini Masterworks. I do show that a couple of people have already bought stuff from them. Thank you. The money that we get from sponsorship from him goes right back into the podcast. We appreciate it. And I will tell you, I cannot stress enough how much and how awesome his paint checkers are. If you've gotten yours, let us know. They're amazing. It actually had me repaint my entire army again. So with that, we also want to thank Muse on Minis for hosting us and providing our files for everywhere and making sure everybody sees and hears us. We also have a discount code for them, and you can get 10% off your order with them. And we do get a little bit back from them if you order from them. Other than that, do we have any shout outs this week, John?
You mentioned one before we started, Howard Hessman.
Yes, there was. That was the one we had. For people that don't know, Howard Hessman, WKRP,
Cincinnati.
the rock DJ. Wasn't that what he was? What was his character's name?
Johnny Fever.
Johnny Fever, yep.
Yeah.
He often felt like the main character, even though it was sort of an ensemble of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thing.
Yeah. I mean, different episodes focused on different people, but yeah, he was big in that. And he was
Growing
on
up,
So
he always
Hard.
felt to me like he was the main character, but that's my view.
Yeah. I could see that.
So, but any other ones?
Not that I know of.
I can't
think of anything else. So let's get John. What are you drinking tonight?
Well, I'm finishing up this Sierra Mist with vodka, and I'm followed up with a Moscow Mule.
Nice. Is that Moscow Mule portioned out correctly? Unlike last week.
Was it measured?
Is it measured?
Yes. 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 When I make actual drinks, I measure drinks. Fucking heathens.
Well, I mean, to be
It just
fair,
only had 3 parts, so it doesn't take me fucking forever like when I make an actual
I've
drink.
made an actual drink.
So, Kathy, what are you drinking tonight?
Gin and tonic, and I just threw some gin in there and some tonic.
Was it like a splash, or was it, just like a little bit of this, a little bit of that?
You didn't add any lime juice to that?
It was a couple splashes, and no, I did not add lime juice.
So there's a lack of professionalism in your drinking.
Captain Mizzy is having
good.
a Shirley Temple heathen measured.
I mean, obviously I'm on the wrong podcast if ain't no one measuring out their drinks. I can go find some people who actually measure their drinks and aren't just like, fuck it, let's do it live!
It's a bit of a heavy pour, Banyan. I'll be honest.
I'm doing, of course, a Macallan Scotch again.
Did you measure that shit out?
Hell no. Wait, yeah, that looks like enough for the podcast tonight. Guys, we want to make sure, please stay safe. Please wear your mask. Please wash your hands.
Please measure your drinks.
Don't measure your drinks.
Respect other people's safety and
Yes.
space.
Be safe out there. We want to see everybody at Adepticon, aka HugCon 2022. We want to make sure everybody is safe. We love you. We want to hang out and do things with you later on during the year. If you haven't got vaccinated and you haven't got boosted, please go do that. We want to have you here and alive. Please be safe. Cheers.
Cheers.
Here's
So, Badion, you got your mixer. What do you think about it?
Banana's a mixer.
I guess he got one of the mixers,
The paint mixer.
the
Yeah.
paint mixers.
Oh, a vortex mixer.
Yeah, with the vortex.
Okay.
All right, I'm gonna
'Cause
switch
when
this
you just
over.
say mixer, I'm thinking like, oh, I didn't realize you were into baking and you got a mixer. Cool.
I'm into baking. I'm gonna switch this over to the paint cam because I want to work on some models while we talk on this. Because I'm working on. Hopefully, the paint cam is actually working decent. I did pre-figure it out to make sure that it was doing okay. Type thing. So
Those do look neat.
They're very shiny.
Yeah.
shiny.
Cookie Mandias. Hey, Cookie.
Hey, Cookie.
Move.
How am I Warhammer guy? I mean,
Oh my goodness. I don't know if Gonzo's ever played Warhammer.
I have.
no. Oh, is Gonzo Warhammer guy? Gonzo could be right side up guy. I assumed Gonzo was right side up guy because he didn't used to be right
Gonzo's
side up.
Gonzo's right side up guy, and then Warhammer guy is you. Oh, I
mean,
got it.
Maybe.
I got
don't know.
it. Okay.
Now
Oh,
I'm
look.
confused. You've shattered my worldview.
And then Bandit Stormhammer showed up. Clearly, the most Warhammer of all of us.
Oh well, so yeah, I'm definitely Warhammer guy. Then if he says it's also a BattleTech mech, so that's definitely me then because hey, look, it was a Warhammer.
Medion said this weekend the internet has tempted me back into wanting to buy Eldar again. Was it the pirates? Is it because they look like pirates? I felt like they had this sort of flavor because they described them as swashbuckling. I was like, oh, they're Eldar pirates.
Yeah, they're
Forgive me, they're Eldari pirates.
yeah the Kill Team ones are Eldari pirates.
And I like this idea. Oh,
Too
there's
high.
jet bikes.
Too high,
Oh, well, that
Gonzo.
makes sense. Jet bikes are fun.
Gonzo too high.
Oh, dang! Hold on, let me just move this.
Too high, cannot see.
Yeah, the jet bikes, the new Avatar,
There you go.
Morgan Ra. I mean, Gonzo might be too high. I can't tell. I'm not going to judge.
Hogan
Not yet.
Raw.
And so why he's right side up? He's he's right side up because that was a
Yes,
joke that had
Cookie.
played itself out.
Yep.
Yes, Cookie. That is why. Bandit says you
Oh.
had a lot of flavor to build a Corsair list in the past through Forge World. I'm glad they're officially putting on their regular codex. Yeah, yeah.
I'm also happy because I'm of the opinion if you can only build a force through Forge World, it doesn't really fucking exist.
Yeah, that's what made me so sad and why I never ended up playing Orcs when I had the idea to do like a Wazdak and Speed Freaks kind of thing because they didn't make bikes
Mm-hmm.
in plastic.
Well,
And
they did, but they were the old crappy ones that we.
I
think
didn't
we said
even
it last-
know those existed though. When I started playing was at the towards the end of 4th edition. It was in 4th
Oh,
edition and
yeah,
then
those
it was
were
it was
long
like-
gone.
at the end of 4th, the beginning of 5th is when that new codex came out, and I actually got, and somewhere they're still in boxes. I got a bunch of orc stuff, but I wanted to base it around Wazdaka, but that was so expensive. I was like, forget it. And all the other stuff just kind of sat in boxes, and then I ended up playing fantasy. Then I ended up collecting a shit ton of ogres. My ogre kingdoms. I have lots of them. And I love them. Even though I haven't played fantasy since
Forever.
I don't know, but it was square bases. And that was a while ago now.
It was.
Banda said, as for me, I'm going through a different route. Just finished 9 hours Bellicor painting.
Ooh, Bellicor's a
Ooh,
really
do
cool
you
model.
Yes.
Do you have any pictures? If you have pictures, throw it
Post
throw
them
it
up.
in the throw a link in the chat. Sweet.
Hold on.
Oh wow.
Yeah, Bellicor's a really cool model.
Yeah, him and fucking Callus is his name, the fucking giant beast man Minotaur or Centaur dude. That guy's
Oh,
like fucking legit as shit.
look at that OSL you've got going on there. That is looking good. And I like that purple skin color.
Oh yeah, that is fucking awesome.
I like it.
I also like it.
And I can see why that would take 9 hours to do all of that because, wow, there's a lot of stuff on that model. It was your first time OSL? Well, good job for first time.
And for first time, that's super duper amazing.
Finian says, oh, the character's Shaggoth.
Yeah, kind of.
Shaggoth. Saying.
So I busted out. I don't know if you can see it, but over here on the right hand side, I busted out my wet palette, Kathy.
Did you?
Yeah.
All I see is a little white area, so
Yeah, that's.
nice. Now, who makes your wet palette? Which one are you
This
using?
one's the Redgrass Games one with the
Okay.
reusable wet palette paper.
Okay.
This is the one that's got you wash off the. I'm not sure if the Kickstarter's been fulfilled yet, or
I'm
it's been
pretty
out
sure
yet.
it is.
Uh, but the paper that's on here that you put everything on is a washable wet palette.
There we go. Matt Banion, since you can't use the internet yourself, sir, let me Google that for you.
Vanda says, well, right now with the 3D printing stuff, you can actually have a colic model. You do have STL files somewhere for them. That's cool. Yeah, that's the great thing on, you can find a lot of those models that GW never made
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
online now in that way, 3D
And
printing.
and for our 3D printing episode, we think that's fine.
Yes.
They aren't making it. Go for it.
Yeah, Banion says,
There's a
yeah, he's
ton,
doomed.
there's a ton of stuff for the Lord of the Rings game that, that is in the army books that is not available as models. And so there are lots of people that have stepped up to
Yeah.
fill that gap.
Which is weird because, and it maybe just because it's Lord of the Rings, but that's a really really good game.
Hmm. Oh,
It
the
is.
mechanics for the Lord of the Rings game, they did a fantastic job on that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was always weird to those who played other games, but like really good.
Yeah.
It's balanced. It's
It's not 40K.
now 40K.
I, I I bring it up because there's a lot of people on Twitter who are like putting away their 40K stuff because they just don't like the current edition.
Oh,
Well,
I agree, Vandus. Yeah.
you heard about the news they produced yesterday, right? For
What?
40K, GW's taking over the ITC.
Okay.
What's ITC?
Independent tournament circuit.
Yeah.
Thank you. Some of us need these things spelled out. Pretend like we don't know every
Pretend
jargon.
like she doesn't care.
Yeah. It's more like she didn't care.
No. It doesn't know and doesn't care. I mean, it's not in
There
her
are two
oeuvre.
different things. Not knowing and not caring. Very
Well, I
different.
mean, it's kind of a both in this case because it's not in your oeuvre. You don't really. I mean,
I am not on the tournament circuit, no, but I do have friends who play on the tournament circuit.
oh, there you go.
But I guess they are going to be taking over the ITC. It was what the latest news was.
Well, I know they're sort of doing this thing where like we need to get people out there to help people learn the game and run tournaments and all. I'm like, yeah, you should call them Outriders or something.
Yeah, what a crazy notion.
Ah, fuckers. Sometimes I swear.
It all comes around
Oh
in
yeah,
a big circle.
that's a good point, Legionnaires. That is the end of 3D printing in the ITC.
Yep.
They will straight no. Get that shit out there. That's it's gonna be interesting. It's gonna be
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah, they made. I guess they made an announcement yesterday that they're taking over they're absorbing the ITC into GW, and they'll be doing it from here on out. And I'm like, that's going to be interesting.
Okay.
That means that the ITC guys don't want to do it either because it's not something GW can't just say we're going to absorb you. There has to be consent there.
Yeah, it's not like the Borg.
No.
It's GW though, so it could be.
Resistance is not futile
I mean,
or useless.
they can try and just come over here and take stuff, but we can throw their models in the harbor. We've done that shit before.
Oh God, the Great Boston Plastic Party.
Motherfuckers, I don't think I want it to be Memphis, probably. I drive down to Memphis for that. I got peeps down there. We'll hang out, even though they work for Games Workshop still. I don't care. Ain't nothing personal.
I've never set foot in Tennessee.
Uh,
Not that I'm against it. I just
hold on.
haven't.
I have. I had to. I had to work there.
Been there.
Legionnaire says, I will meet you in Memphis. The closest I've been is Kentucky.
Which is, in some ways, close but very far. You know what I mean?
Very close.
Yeah, we've been to Tennessee a couple times. Piracy. So, piracy's okay. Actually, you know what? That brings me to a fucking mini rant before we start talking about role-playing games.
Oh, okay.
Someone jumped into a Discord and was shitting all over Borderlands 2. Sure, whatever. You don't like the company? All good. But then, out of nowhere, they're like, yeah, I pirated that game, and their company sent me a cease and desist notice, and I had to stop, or they were going to sue me. The fuck is that? I'm like, defending their copyright? Or totally legal and okay? Like, when did it become, like, a problem for companies to go, oh, hey, you're pirating our shit. Don't do that. Or we'll take legal action. When did it become they're bad guys for that? You may not like them for other stuff, but for fuck's sake, that's pure legality. Like, the cop shows up, your ass is going to be in trouble. I mean, it's not really cops, it's lawyers in this case. But anyways, it's just like, the fuck?
Yeah.
I don't understand people. More on that later. Yeah, if you don't pay full price, like, if you don't like the company, don't play their fucking games. You can say, I'm going to pirate their game. You can say, I can't get certain game, I'm going to pirate it. You know what? As I said, I'm not your daddy. I can't make you stop that. It is your thing. But do not get upset when they come a-calling. You fucked around. Now you get to find out. And I don't care if you pirate it. Like I said, I don't like it. Video games, I mean, honestly, video games are probably the epitome of I wouldn't play it if I didn't pirate it. That's probably true. But when they come a-calling, just be ready.
Yeah.
More importantly, when you take an action, do not be upset when the consequence of that action comes around.
Yes. Exactly.
In any case, should we talk about role-playing before we totally destroy another one of Gonzo's topics for a week?
So, the reason why we're bringing this up is because, well, we've talked about it a lot in the pre-ramble, and we are very passionate about our RPGs. Very, very passionate. And there's a poll going on right now, and you can find it, and you can do ! Vote Friday or Wednesday, depending on whatever, because I'm...
Explain a little bit about what this poll means to you.
Well, this poll means is whether I'm going to stream the world building on Wednesday or on Friday. Either one of those days are okay by me. But I guess there's like a lot of people doing stuff on Friday, which, oh, okay, no big deal. But a lot of people have been interested in this because I am designing my own world with discussions from everybody else. I do have a basic, I wouldn't say a basic concept. I have what I like in my world, but taking feedback and building from what other people. And one of the things that we discussed is one of my races in the world is goblins. I've always liked goblins as a playable race type thing. And when we generated the world by rolling the dice, there was a city in the north that was right next to a body of water and right next to the coast. And the world wasn't considered entirely evil, but did have some evil tendencies based on the die roll. And I was like, okay, well, that sounds like goblins, because goblins, they're not entirely good, but they're not like stab you, eat baby type goblins.
No, okay, because when you say goblins, I think stab you, eat baby.
Yeah, not eat baby types. Steal baby maybe, but not eat baby.
Wait, did they steal the baby from the Daikini?
Yeah, they probably did. But... and so we would start talking, they're near a body of water. Okay, they're pirates. And so goblin pirates were born. And we were just, having good fun with it and just building it. And actually, it's a really cool concept because I thought about, okay, goblin pirates, they don't have a leader. They have a council and the council is always fighting and bickering about what things goes on within the goblins, and it just started generating more feedback and really cool type things
I
to go
could
with
see
it.
goblins having a really, really dense bureaucracy, full of red tape. You can't
Yes.
do anything in a goblin bureaucracy because you have to jump through so many hoops. Nothing
Hold on.
gets done. It's like the USSR back in the day.
These are good. This is good ideas. Hold on. I'm taking notes.
And so the Goblin Society was born off of us just BSing. And some people said they wanted to be kind of part of this. And so, like, the next session is me digitally building the map and talking about it and taking notes, because I've taken notes because I did talk about, some of my favorite RPGs and why I did this. And for some people who don't know, we talked about it in the pre-ramble that Minotaurs are based off the Roman Empire. That's kind of where it is. And I got that idea, and I'm not going to say, it wasn't brand new or everything, but it was based off of what happens on the opposite side of the world in Dragonlance. Because they released a box set at one point of what's on the other side of the world in Dragonlance, and it's actually ruled by Minotaurs, and they have a Roman type empire there. And I was like,
Spoiler: most people didn't care.
yeah, and
Personally, I was thinking they should be Greek, but that's just me, and I can't help myself. But it's not my world.
And so I was like, I like that idea. As Minotaurs is, kind of like a Roman empire.
I, I like so world building wise. I like the taking a fantasy race and applying them to an ancient culture
Mm-hmm.
sort of thing, like the hobgoblins being like the Mongol horde
Ha 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 ha!
with
Oglacan's wolf
wolf
riders.
riders and all that. That's
Mm-hmm.
super cool idea. You
Well, it
know,
makes
And their little furry hats.
it makes it easier for people to understand too. You're like, well, these goblins, they have a democratic society, and blah blah. The Minotaurs do this and do that, and like if you give an example to somebody, well, they're like Romans in a way, and it makes it a whole easier because they can picture it in their head a lot easier if you give them concrete, real world
yeah. Well,
things to go off
you
of.
you always want your fantasy races to be able to be stereotyped because every species should be able to be stereotyped.
Yeah.
It's not every person's like that. Definitely not. Not every goblin's bureaucratic. Some are like, "Fuck, I hate this shit."
Yeah, and
that
it's
is-
in a generic. Not every goblin or every minotaur is like that, but it gives a point of where it's at and why they're like this.
I think it'd be more funny if goblins secretly actually hated bureaucracy, but god damn it, those are the rules they live by. Oh, you're paying me money? Sure, we can skip this rule for now. Actually, I think goblins would make great like Ferengi in fantasy.
Oh God, yes.
Yeah,
Oh, I
could see
feel
that.
like my cobalt is going to be like that.
I was just thinking maybe kobolds could be Ferengi. That would be awesome too. Because when you go
I
to
feel like,
exterminate them, their big brothers, the dragons, are like, the fuck?
yeah, I feel like my cobalt, as you were saying that, I just wrote down Cash Money's Russian black market accent. So I'll be channeling when I play my cleric, I will be channeling my inner Soviet black marketeer, which I've met several. So I have a good idea.
Engineer says Ferengi and kobolds now a thing. Hey, I mean, I think it's like I said, you've got to have it. I mean, and honestly, never, ever, ever feel bad about borrowing ideas from other sources
No.
because everyone's borrowed from everyone.
Yeah, there is no reason to think, and you may have a unique idea, but you're inspired by something.
Yes.
Like the
Something.
world I'm building is inspired by Dragonlance, by Exalted, things that I earthed on. So I mean, it's inspired because that's that's kind of why we do this. We're inspired by other things people do, and we're like, oh, I really like this. This is really cool. Blah blah blah. It's the reason why I'm doing this, etc.
Yeah.
etc.
And when you're building a fantasy world, you sort of have to decide how it's going to be like because the best thing about D&D fourth edition from a setting wise was they established the whole idea of points of light, where literally it's the world's all wilderness for the most part, but there are these cities that are points of light in there. It's like I found the best fantasy analogy is the Old West. Like, yeah, there's some civilizations here or there, but once you get past a certain point, it's fucking might makes right. Whoever's got, the money or the weapons fucking makes the rules.
Hmm.
And I mean, I think that's a great way to look at it. And honestly, you could watch a lot of westerns and steal a lot of very good plots for fantasy games.
That seems to be kind of how the world works these days.
Yeah, unfortunately. But I think that's a great idea for when you're doing your family. Or doing your family, looking at Xander's thing, doing your world. Just sort of get that whole idea of what it's gonna be like. Do you want it to be civilizations with no dungeon? Are you gonna do political and, street level machinations, or are you gonna go dungeon crawling? You gotta decide that. Now this is of course assuming you're playing a fantasy game. I'm gonna limit my talk to fantasy right now since we're all doing fantasy stuff. Or are you going to do, Dungeons and Dragons, let's say, where you're going to go kick open the door of that dungeon, murder everything inside, and then take the money. I mean, or is it going to be more than that? Is it going to be, are you going to have social implications of that? Goblin Village there. Do you murder the whole Goblin Village? Do you care? Do you want that kind of thought in your game or not? That's important.
It is, and the the D&D game that I play in every other week is much more role playing. And there's people in this group that would rather do the role playing of the minutia of what their characters are doing day to day than they would being in combat.
Being a murder hobo.
Now, I like role playing,
Hi, Lady B.
but it doesn't help me when I make a character that is a veteran of wars and all of his skills are in fighting stuff and he's happy to role play, but also there has to be a balance.
Yes.
You can have sessions where it's all role play, and then you can have a session where you know it requires that you're fighting, and not like murder hobo stuff where you're just killing everything you run across, but there's a reason why
Yep.
you're fighting in this case.
Yeah, and so that goes into a bigger thing that everyone should do when they're doing a role playing game is you need to set the tone for the game, and you need to make sure your players know that tone so that you're all playing in the same game. Because otherwise, you come in expecting, Dungeons and Dragons, and they're playing fucking political intrigue, and you're like, my barbarian does not wish. I punched the noble.
Yeah, I
You know,
don't know how to act. I don't know what's going on. I don't understand any of this. I'm just gonna go drink.
And honestly, you should also play the right game for that. There are other games that have better social mechanics than D&D, and if you're going to do a lot of social stuff and not a lot of combat, you should not be playing D&D. I know it might be all you know. That's okay. Branch out. Look for another game. There are plenty of
And
games out there.
in D&D, it doesn't have to be all about the killy stuff. But
No.
John's right. As a game master and as a group together in your like session zero, which seems to be the new thing that people have been talking about over the last couple of years. I never heard that before until within the last couple of years, people doing session zero, where they're establishing boundaries and expectations uh, with their what they expect about this game. What does the GM expect about you know from the players, and what do the players expect from each other? And what does a person absolutely not want to have to deal with in a game? Like they would like to never be confronted with X.
Exactly. So here's the funny thing, Kate. The reason why I laughed when you were saying that is because I actually got in a Twitter fight with a jackass on who was like, if you use session 0, you're fucking worthless and terrible, not a role playing game. And it only come to the past couple years because of all this social stuff. And I'm like, all right, first off, I've been doing this for fucking years and years and
I've
years.
done many zero level stuff.
Like maybe not in the 80s, but in the 90s on, session 0 was all over the fucking place. You may have just called it character creation, but a lot of it is figuring out where everyone is, getting a feel for the game. How many times do people come in, they're creating characters, suddenly realize, all right, my idea is not going to work with what you guys are doing, and
Can
you
I?
guys all fit together. I'm going to zig now so I can fit in with you guys.
Yeah.
I'm gonna
Like,
Now, it
recreate
could
my
just
character.
be, it could, excuse me, sorry. It could just be that I was joining groups where they were already established and I was just coming in
and you get a
after,
feel for it. Yeah, I mean,
yeah, after they'd all been playing for a while. So I'm
Ooh.
just diving in the deep end. So there never was a session 0, but just over the last couple of years, I've been in groups where we've started from scratch and everybody's making up their new characters. And the one I'm in now, the GM had never run a game before. So we're all, she's feeling everything out and we're all just kind of, nobody wants her to feel like we're, the know-it-alls who are trying to game the system. Because you get that. And
yeah.
that's funny because when I told somebody that I was thinking of starting to run D&D. I have my Dungeon Master's Guide now. Um,
Ooh.
he's like, just play with people who are less familiar than you are with the game. And I'm sitting there like, do I even know? Do I even know anybody who's less familiar with D&D than me who actually wants to play?
G&D 5th edition, that would be me.
Don't be John. Yeah, but you know, your experience with broader,
Oh, I've played a ton of D&D games, yeah.
RPGs and stuff, and then previous versions of D&D. So,
I also find that my length of tenure as a frequent game master makes me a better player because I know when to shut up and let people just do their thing.
Yep.
yeah.
I played a lot of campaigns where I played the quiet guy, and I would just say little things here or there and be happy to jump in when necessary and let the guys do their thing. It's
Ricky's
but so the session 0, it's important because unless your elevator pitch for your game gives everyone the perfect knowledge of what you're looking for, which it may, you need a session 0, like I said, to establish what you're looking for. Is
hmm
it going to be gritty? Is it not going to be gritty? Because you got to set the rules and then
Yes.
follow the rules so you make sure you got the right tone. Like the old Champions book, which is the game I played the most, actually had a sheet in the back where you could circle your tone from 1 to 5, light to gritty and all that stuff. So you could have it down. So this is
Oh
what we're
wow.
doing. Yeah. That's why when people are like, "Oh, you didn't do that back in the '90s," fuck, I did because it was right there in the book. Just because you only played D&D, motherfucker.
Oh man, back in the 90s, we played
Oh,
so many different
you
RPGs.
Oh
know,
yeah.
that reminds me. The Legionnaire's comment reminds me, Kathy. You need to play a very gritty game where we're all Muppets.
Oh,
You know who Gritty is, right? The
yes.
okay. Because someone mentioned Gritty, and then Petey posted a picture of that, and Lee just brought it up again. I'm like, that would be funny.
Gritty Muppets.
Oh, and
I
see
might be dying.
that's where it comes in. What's your game? What's your elevator pitch? D&D, Gritty,
I'm
Muppets.
sorry,
Like
Gritty
what?
Muppets.
Okay, Gritty Muppets. All right, good. Uh, but yeah, so it's important to do that. You got to I don't know, set boundaries, but no, set boundaries is good if you have new people you don't know. So literally, and I don't think I recorded it. I'm going to actually edit. I know it's crazy. I'm going to edit our session 0 so we take out some of the extra stuff. But I didn't start off. I let Jason, who's a new player to our group, know like this is what we do. This is what we expect. This is how it's going to go because he's coming in fresh. He doesn't know us. We've played together many, many times.
So I want to kind of interrupt to this and ask you, like, what are the things you ask for in session 0? Because one of the things that I ask for, or I tell them, besides, it's gritty or whatever, I tell the players, though, like, somebody will say, hey, I want to play an evil type character. I go, okay, I get that, but you're not going to ruin the campaign with it.
Oh,
You're,
that
you're,
would
you
that would
can
be
play an evil
message
character.
that would not be session 0. That kind of stuff should be kept secret from the rest of the players.
Correct. No, but I'm talking about is the pre. When I say session 0, this is the pre stuff. If someone comes up to me and says, "Hey, I like playing your campaign, but I want to play someone evil," I'm like, "Okay, let me talk to you about what I expect from an evil character."
Well, yeah, you should always do that. If you want to play something like that, you should like. I don't mind if you do something, against the party. I am all for proper role playing.
Correct.
Charging the rest of the people cash money for heals. That's fine. But just make sure you're not. I don't expect the party to be necessarily fair either. Oh, Lady B said, "Hail, hydrate."
Oh,
Yeah, but you want to make sure that that when you do this, you're like, yes, but don't ruin the campaign.
Yeah, but that should be So here's the thing I'm going to say. If you're a player and you want to play an evil character and your idea is to ruin the campaign, get the fuck out!
Yeah.
Because as soon as you try to ruin the campaign, I will eject you from the campaign and probably the premises.
yeah. It doesn't matter how many times you whine about how you're just playing your character.
Yes. If you have to
If you're
say...
an asshole.
Yes. Now, there are ways to do it that are without... You can say, I'm playing my character without being an asshole. That's okay. But if that's your only defense, then you probably should be thinking twice. We've all had the opportunity to play double agents or whatever. You've got to be... You got to read the room when you're doing that stuff.
Yeah, you definitely want to make sure that you communicate that to your GM and stuff.
Yes.
Way ahead of time so they can...
And privately, so you know. I mean, or
Correct.
you can play it in, say it to everyone, but they're going to know, and you're relying on them to keep that knowledge separate. My players are good about that, but not everyone is, and some people don't want to know what they don't know.
Yeah.
Xandervoy says, don't play Unicorn Paladin in a party of shady thieves. True, but it can actually be pretty fun sometimes. Just make sure you know what you're getting into.
Which is a reminder, someone had a party thing that I saw. It was like, why is a paladin in a group of thieves? It's because the paladin's the parole officer for all the thieves. And I was like, that's actually a pretty cool concept.
It runs both ways than not being an asshole. Like, you could be
Correct.
evil and not be an asshole, but you can also be good in a group of people who are evil and not be an asshole.
There are certain parties.
That's part of the expectations that you hammer out at the beginning. You maybe want to revise how you as a lawful or a good person deals with being around a gang of thieves and why you're there to begin with. Because if you don't like these people,
why the hell are you there?
there's no real reason why your character would spend time with them anyways.
Yep. But yeah, being hardcore one another is just as bad.
Yeah.
You got to read the room and understand. But there's lots of ways to do it. I like the paladin idea of like, I know they're shady and they do stuff that's there, but I see this spark in them. They always do the right thing when it comes time to do the right thing. Or something like that. There's a lot of ways you can run with that. There's good role-playing opportunities.
Yeah.
As long as they're not pure murder hobos. Oh, and officially, as long as your god's not okay with that necessarily. I've always found Paladins of Justice to be a lot more interesting. Because justice is not law.
That's true. And the Hammer of Justice, is actually pretty neutral.
Yeah. Surprisingly. But yeah, there's a lot of things there. You gotta read the room and understand what you're playing. Make sure your character is going to fit in to some extent. You can have some inter-party conflict, just not.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with characters not liking each other.
Correct.
There's a problem when players don't like each other and cause the game to slow down or the game to be a problem, et cetera, et cetera. That's a problem.
Like I, for instance, know that my kobold cleric, when it joins the group of kobolds in this new D&D game that I'm joining, well, it's not new, but it's new to me. they're going to expect one thing from this cleric, but I have already told them how I plan to play this cleric. So they don't have any expectations about, oh, we're going to have a cleric, so that means we all get to be Healy. No, this cleric is very mercenary and greedy and
Yes.
and heals for cash money.
Yeah,
You have cash money, I heal. You don't
you're
have
not
cash
Healbot.
money, I not heal you.
Exactly.
So, but to be fair, we are all kobolds, and I'm pretty sure my god is Asmodeus, so feel that's in line.
I think the potential upside of a kobold party is great when like they vanquish something horrible and like people come like, oh, what's the great party that vanquished the evil tyrant? It's why are these kobolds here? The fuck is this?
And no one believes them.
No one believes them.
No one believes them ever.
I'm sure some of you guys like, but I saw them.
Yeah. We're like, yeah, you're high.
Yeah, this guy, he was drunk. Had to be.
But yeah, so there's a lot to that. Fantasy games, I think, they're not the hardest game. I actually feel sci-fi is the hardest.
I kind of agree with you on that.
But fantasy games have their challenges. I find the modern stuff to be the most easy because you have to explain so much less. World building a modern game is you're in Chicago this year. Okay, cool. I can figure that out. Well, you're in Chicago 1975, let's say. You can do that. You can say you're in San Francisco. Like we had a guy in one of my groups who had lived in San Francisco, and we had based the game in San Francisco because of sort of mystical overtones they have there. And it was great. He added so much character to it because he knew places and all that. It was great. But you can set that up in a modern game easily. Fantasy and sci-fi is so much harder because you have to world build so much.
So Vandus has a question.
You guys saw the Book of Boba Fett series yet? Yes, we'll be talking about that in the media section a little bit too.
Yes.
I don't think Kathy has yet.
I have not yet had a chance.
Kathy.
I know, but yeah. Later.
Yes, but so I think fantasy is hard. World building, so it's a little easier because lower tech is easier.
What about the far future where there is only war?
It's too grim. It's hard to play there.
I was so wanting to play Dark Heresy back when it came out.
I tried.
I was interested. I'd rather play. I don't remember which version it is. Whichever version is, you're the Inquisitors, not the. You're the Space Marines.
I think that's it. You're not Space Marines. Yeah, you're Inquisitors and other stuff. And we had a friend who actually took Dark Heresy and Inquisitor and whatever else he could think of, and he smashed them all together. And they let us play it at the bunker.
That's cool.
And that was our Wednesday night role-playing game for, I think it lasted a few months. And oh my god, it was like Ravener on acid. It's ridiculous.
Like Ravener on acid. So if you ever made a DVD of you guys playing that, like Ravener on acid, Kathy Wapple, that's a headline. I like Ravener. I like acid. Fuck, I'm watching this. So yeah, I mean it's hard. I mean, I think the hardest is certain worlds are hard to roleplay in. The hardest world we ever had to roleplay in fantasy was Dragonlance. Because at the end of the day, it's really hard for a GM to find something for you to do that's worthwhile. That's not that he can't. It's difficult. Book-wise, you have to read, I don't know if anyone's read Heroes, it's called Stormbringer. It's one of the spin-off novels, but it was great because it actually they intersected with the main party at a point, and wrote into that. So it was really cool. So it felt like this actually affected the overall story a little bit, but in a very little bit. And that's sort of the problem with some of those pre-written things it's hard to affect the story.
Yeah, it's like role playing in Lord of the Rings.
Or Star Wars.
or Star Wars. You've got to go outside the box.
It's really, it puts a lot more work on the GM.
Yeah. You either A, have to go, oh, this is way before the books, or way after the books.
Well, you
Or
can
is
do
this
it
during the
during,
books,
I
but
mean,
this is
it's a big world,
correct.
and those people are over here. Can't you be over here doing something
yeah.
else? I
But the
mean, there
problem
are
is,
other things going on in a great big world besides what just these people are doing.
the problem is all those are written that these are the heroes of heroes, and they do most of the important things. You might
They
be able
can
to make it
only
something.
do most of the important things in one place, though.
It's the thing though, like
That's like saying
it puts
all
a
the important things ever took place in China and nothing ever happened in Europe.
well in certain wars, yes, because that's sort of the thing about this. It's a certain time, a certain war. During
Okay.
the War of the Lance, they did most of the most important things. Sure, things happened, but in the day, that's the hard part. Is you have to make your characters involved in something and make them feel like it fucking mattered. That's why I tend to avoid, worlds like that. Love the Dragonlance world. Could have been cool to role play. I'd love to role play the modules. I'd love to find like fifth edition versions of the original modules. That's what WotC be spending money on. Fucking A.
Well, that
I play the hell out of those. But uh, otherwise, it's just really hard to find, like I said, parts where you can make your characters feel worthwhile, feel like they matter.
Huh.
That's important. No matter what you do, you have to feel like your characters matter. You can't have them constantly upstaged. They can't go like, yeah, well, we did this, but really, I mean, it doesn't matter because they stopped the dragon army at this place, or they did this. It's tough because we
because you want
tried a
them to
couple
be the
times.
center of the. You want your players to be the center of the attention
Hmm.
with whatever they play, and that's kind of hard to do whenever there's a pre-generated world and you know what's going on and how everything's going to happen, unless the GM retcons it all and
Well, it's
changes
harder
it.
also based on what you're doing. So, like, Dragonlance is really difficult. You can do some stuff and you can be reasonably important, but it's tough because all the details have only been written about the areas that the companions went to.
Hmm.
Something like Star Wars Elysium can be like, okay, we're in the rebellion, so there's lots of rebellion from. Well, we thought there was lots of rebellion before the Death Star going to Return of the Jedi, but there's really not so much because you see that the rebellion only really started becoming fully on military and Rogue One. So, but there's still some area there for you guys to do something. There's a couple of years that you guys can do important things, just not the most important things. Like you're not going to blow up the Death Star unless there was a third Death Star no one knew about. But then again, like I said, you're putting a lot of work on the GM. That's the hardest part. It's not that you can't, and a great GM can do it and will make it awesome. It's just a lot of work.
Yeah.
So that's why a good generic fantasy world, Greyhawk, uh, Forgotten Realms to a lesser extent, in my opinion. Forgotten Realms has a lot of issues.
Forgotten Realms is just like, ooh, there's Dritz, ooh, there's Elminster, ooh, there's, but
No,
you can still do it.
you can't like go 10 feet without tripping over an Archmage.
Yeah, that's true too.
Oh, fucking Kelvin Blackstaff, get out of here, man.
I'll
Makes a
pretend like I know it. I read a couple Dragonlance things, but it was so long ago I remember nothing.
Dragonets or Forgotten Realms.
I don't think I ever read any Forgotten Realms.
Like I said, there's nothing wrong with these. It's just there's a little more work on it. I love the fact that there's all these worlds made, but the best bit is to take parts you like, steal them, and then just use those whatever you want.
Yep.
Or like Gonzo does, building the world's really good. Or sometimes you just don't fully build the world. You just build it as they go.
Hmm.
You build an
you
area and go, this is
That
what
can
it
be
is.
fun too. You
Yeah.
build you have a city or a town that people are based out of, and then you just kind of
Yeah, you write in. This is where you're
expand
from.
your
Okay.
adventures out of that and
Yeah.
grow it organically.
That splits the work up because you can have the players can make up where their characters are from if it's not from that town and be like, okay, I'm from this city far in the east. You just take notes, far in the east. And you have this generic map where we started, far in the east, this, that, whatever, and you can fill it out as you get there. That's also really cool. Um, so
What?
Banyan says probably one of the common mistakes that a novice GM would make. It says, or unless timey-wimey stuff happens, some of the nefarious persons take out the companions before they become the heroes and you take their place. Then they keep mucking with special events. Yes, but that takes the wonder out of the world. You know what's supposed to happen because you've read the books. You're going to inherently be trying to do those things. And thus you're back in a similar problem. You're related where you're like, you think you know what to do, but it might hurt you from trying to do what's organically right. Instead, you're trying to do what the story did.
Yeah, I can see that.
So again, it's a problem. And honestly, I think the more you keep timey-wimey out of it, the better off it is. It's fraught with danger.
Before we, because it's getting close to media section, um, let's talk about our favorite systems, because we know generic D&D, fifth edition, blah blah blah, whatever you want to call it. Uh, Even though they have the tagline, I don't believe it is the greatest. I think it is the most well known, and I think it's the one easily accessible to a lot of people. But what are ones that are outside of the normal? And Kathy, what games outside of D&D do you think are really good that you enjoyed, like rule wise, or
Deadlands.
Yeah, you've said that before, I
I
think.
like Deadlands. I liked the way they used the dice and the cards and the poker chips in that. I thought it was really creative and it did a lot to give a character unique things. It is a unique feel to everything. I
Any
had a
other,
lot of fun playing that.
any other ones?
Uh, Off the top of my head, I don't know. It's been a long time since I played any of the other ones. I seem to recall, what was the Elric one? The Elric of Melniboné one?
Yeah.
Stormbringer?
The Stormbringer one. That was really fun, and I couldn't believe the giant catalog of races that there were in that.
Someone went deep on that game.
Yeah, it was crazy.
Like, it was like mad props to whoever made that game. Holy crap. It was way more to it than you
Go and
ever
find that. I
expected.
don't know when it came out, but we were playing it in the early 90s. I can see that John is Googling this.
Of course I am.
I actually think they redid it at one
Yeah, they
point.
did.
Really?
Yeah,
Yeah.
apparently there's a version still out right now by it's still by Chaosium. Chaosium.
Huh.
They've been around for a while. They're a quality company.
Who's doing, is it Pinnacle Games that's doing Deadlands?
Think Pinnacle is, yes. Oh, they were doing it for a while.
Deadlands.
Pinnacle Entertainment Group, yes.
Yeah.
Uh, 2006 is the most recent version.
So, John, what systems have you really enjoyed a lot?
I mean, there's a lot. The most is the hero system, champions, because I can quite literally do anything. Often without the rule book, but that's just because I've played it enough. But I'll be honest, there are more good role-playing systems out there than bad. Like, there's a ton of role-playing games out there that are really good for their niche. Standouts would be the old Marvel superheroes role-playing game, the
Oh my
original one by
gosh.
TSR, is really good for what it's trying to be. That is one that would most be looked at getting a good, solid way to make a. There is a uh, serial numbers filed off version out there that I own, but it's not as good. It doesn't have the depth that the Marvel one ended up, because that was a big deal for a while. There's so many supplements. A lot of the other ones I liked have fallen off because subsequent editions have not made them better. And for once, I'm
Yeah.
actually not specifically talking about D&D.
Legionnaires and Xander both mentioned Shadowrun, and I was playing Shadowrun recently,
It's not as good as it
and it was
was.
second edition Shadowrun,
That's the
and
best.
I I love the universe, the world of Shadowrun, like the characters and everything, but could it be more complex? I felt like I had to
Crunchy.
do homework every single
Yes,
week.
it could be more complex, and that's
I'm
the funny
like,
part.
it was ridiculous. I'm like, I need to read, and then I didn't have books, so I had to read the reading the
PDFs.
PDFs and stuff is
I could probably
annoying, and frankly, it gives me a headache, and maybe that's why it's annoying for me.
I could
Like
probably
it
make the
literally
majority
will
of a
give me
Shadowrun
a
character
headache
out of book right now too,
to
or
try
a
and
second.
read this stuff online.
Yeah, it's. I think Shadowrun's one that has not gotten better with subsequent editions. I actually think second or third are the best. It is a little more crunchy, but that was its style. Um, Star Wars is one where it may have gotten better with age. Like the whole Genesis system, obviously we're playing it for fantasy, so we think it's pretty good, but I don't have a ton of experience. But the West End Games D6 version was great.
Earth
Um,
Dawn was fun.
Earth Dawn was fine. I didn't think it was.
That's my favorite.
I didn't think it was. Sorry, I don't think it didn't think it was ever great, but I never also didn't think it was bad. It was there.
Yeah.
There's a lot of
Earthdawn
those.
was always my favorite and will always be. I've bought like every single freaking thing that they've ever come out with. That's my favorite out of all of the RPGs I've played. I enjoy not only the world, I enjoy the mechanics, I enjoy everything about it. That one's always been my top. If anybody says, and I'm like John, Earth Dawn, yeah, I can make you a character in no time flat, and I can run an entire campaign without any prep. All right,
So
I got it.
there was a game that I played once upon a time called Fading Suns.
Fading
And that
Suns, yeah.
was a sci-fi one.
That's a good one.
I really enjoyed that one.
Yeah, that's a good solid sci-fi.
Yeah, that one's good. There's a lot of like was never a big World of Darkness guy. Was fine. The mechanics are actually bad. The way I understand it, they've gotten worse in subsequent editions, which is impressive because I didn't think it was good to start with. But it was a great change of pace for role players. It changed the game. Mad respect to White Wolf Games. They changed the game. But it was like I don't think the rules were good. Xander Vorlord played Palladium Books. Yes, Palladium Books was a great system in the 80s.
In the 80s.
It's no longer the 80s. And the
Wait,
system
it's
has
not?
not, yeah, the system has not upgraded really. That's their biggest problem. I played a ton. Like, I owned their entire catalog for a large portion of my life. And it's just, as you got into more stuff, you realize that the games were not good.
Wait. No one's mentioning GURPS. Speaking of the 1980s.
GURPS can do anything. I don't think it does. GURPS can do everything, but I don't think it does
Why it's the
anything
generic
well.
role-playing system.
I just don't think it does anything well. I have not found its strength. How about that? Aside from being generic. And I can do anything you can do in GURPS, I can do in Hero System, and it'll work well in certain genres.
Hmm.
Not all genres. Certain genres.
Just throwing that out there.
No, GURPS is like Steve Jackson's done a lot for gaming, and if anything, if I was making a game on a certain subject or thing, and there was a GURPS book for it, I still own GURPS Space and GURPS Space 2, because it's a great supplement for when you want to make a sci-fi game. I don't care what you're making it in. The stuff they put in there is top notch.
Theniad mentioned Rifts. Oh, I only got to play that a few times. I rolled up my character. We played it like 3 times. And I really liked the idea of that game.
Well,
and I wished I had gotten to play more of it.
Well, Kathy, it's a Palladium game.
Ah, well, maybe that's why.
Gonzo, you know better, right?
I'm waiting.
I mean, it's already there.
Yeah. I was going to make
So-
someone spend it.
Yeah. So, like honestly, there's a lot of like I said, I honestly believe even the Palladium games, there are certain of their games that work fine.
The thing is there's a lot of good games out there. Some are older, some are
And
newer. Just go out and try them. I'll tell you, one of the coolest things I've ever done is going to old bookstores. Old bookstores in like downtown places, because they've got a lot of the old RPGs that people are just like, I just need to get rid of it, and they take it to old bookstores. And I love
I,
going to old bookstores and looking in their RPG section, and I'm
I
like,
buy,
oh, this is cool.
I love buying discount RPGs.
Yep.
It's great. Remember, there are no actually bad RPGs, just bad game masters.
Mhm.
Because it doesn't matter what the rules are. If you guys are having fun,
Yep.
it's the best system ever.
I've never heard of it.
He means
Chartmaster, I
Rollmaster.
have a vague,
Okay, so
I have a
remember I
vague
said
recollection of that.
there's no bad role playing games. There's really no bad role playing games except Rollmaster. Rollmaster is fucking terrible. It's not. It is adding more shit to more shit to more shit. Like to the point where like 5 books in, your classes get so specific that it's retarded. Do you want to be a dancer? Here's your dancer class. I'm like, that's not necessary. It's really not. Yeah, anything you're missing, you might be able to find on Drive-Thru RPG. But if you're going to go on our Drive-Thru RPG, make sure you leave a rating with feedback. Thought I wasn't going to get to that one, did you? So, on Twitter, before we get to the full media,
This is part of the media.
someone was upset because they've made a game. I'm not going to say what the game is because I don't want anyone to go there and, I mean, if you like this type of thing, you'd probably find it. And he was upset because someone left him a 3-star review. It was the only review on his game at that point, and he was upset because he got 3 stars. It's like, you need to tell me what he did wrong. I'm like, well, it's out of a 5-star, and we're not talking about letter grades here. A 3-star review is like fine.
Yeah, it's
There's
upper
nothing wrong
B.
with it. Like,
It's a B.
Okay, yeah, you're like fine. You got 3 stars.
Average,
Means
slightly
it's
above
solid.
even.
Yeah. Like, I don't even start thinking about should I not buy this game if it piques my interest until I get to 2 or 1 or 0. Like, there's nothing wrong with 3-star, but he was legitimately upset. Like, I don't want to be stuck with this review. Motherfucker, it's a review. Get the fuck over it. Do you expect everything you put out? Have we gotten to the point in society where everyone expects everything they put out to be fucking 5 stars? You're the best. No, it's not.
No, I can understand if you give a 3-star. If I give a rating, I give a reason why. And it doesn't have to be this, 25
But you don't have to.
No.
Not everyone's got time for that shit.
No, you don't have to. But I mean, that's me personally. I'm like, oh, I like this game, but here's what I like and here's what I didn't like, and this is the reason why I gave the rating. But it's not like a 20-page review thing. But this person was going way over the deep end on this.
It was like that was only the first post, son. There's
oh my
a
god.
thread.
Oh,
it's not. It doesn't really get worse, but it's just like a lot of people are like, oh, I like what you did. Like, that's cool and all, but like literally 5-star. Oh, Legionnaire said hail hydrate.
Hail hydrate.
Must be hydrated before I continue to rant. So 5 stars. I'm not even sure how many role-playing games I would legitimately give 5 stars to. Let's say I have to give a rating of 5 stars to one role-playing game.
Whew.
I would have to give it to Hero System, but I'm even a little tentative to give it to that because it's 5 stars for me. It's not 5 stars for everything. It's tough. I mean, I believe that for most things, movies unrelated, 5 stars should be like fucking the pinnacle. Like the greatest role-playing game in the world, self-proclaimed, would be 3 stars. I'd give D&D 3 stars. Nothing wrong with that. Some people give it 4. Cool. Some might give it 5. But sure. It's a very personal thing, and some people won't leave feedback. You need to be, as a creator of content, you have to be ready for that shit. You cannot be, oh my god, I got a 3-star, what's going on? Like, dude, it's fucking okay. You made shit. Not everyone's gonna like it.
This over. Just did. They gave me a mediocre.
Yeah, the kid. Oh, I don't even. And based on what it was, I'm like, this seems like something I would look at and potentially be. It's a 3-star. But anyways, be prepared. Anything you do is going to be like you can't. God, have we gotten there? Everything's an award. You're the best ever. No, fuck. Y'all need to play different video games. I'll tell you what, playing MechWarrior enough has made me realize I am not the best ever. I am mediocre as fuck, and I'm okay with that because I more often than not have fun.
Yep.
And Catherine, that's the thing is also you got to be ready if you make your perfect baby to be ready to take some criticism. And it's okay for people not to like everything you like as much as you like it. That's the fucking world. It's perfectly fine. Remember, they're judging the thing, not you. They're not even saying you're a bad person for liking it, except maybe Peacemaker. We're saying that we don't like the thing as much as you like it. Cats more than anything, actually, but it's okay.
Yeah. A 3 is not a bad rating. A 2 or a 1. Okay,
how many
what's going on?
Do we give 2 Space Herpes to, which is
Yeah.
the equivalent of a 3?
Yeah.
They're perfectly fine. Enjoy. I watched it again.
Yep.
It just, to me, it's got flaws.
Meh.
In fact, I just watched a 3.5 star one.
Oh, please
Uh-oh.
tell us about it, Kathy. It's the media section.
It
It's
is.
the media section. And yesterday, I revisited a movie that I have not seen in probably 25 years.
Oh,
I know
man.
this is.
And it's one you've heard me talk about a lot. I've mentioned this movie a lot, and I've been contentious with John saying it's a 3-star.
Wait.
and
Can I
he
guess
says
it?
It's a 4-star.
Can I guess it? Wait. Can the chat guess
You
it?
were in the chat with us, Gonzo. You know what movie it is.
I know. Let's see. Can the chat guess?
Can
5,
the chat guess what movie I
4,
watched?
3.
You know there's a delay, right?
That's what I'm counting.
Known that. Oh, Banyan.
That's only because it's sitting on my table. I was going to watch that, but I didn't
If
watch
only.
it because...
Wait, did they actually make that? I'm like, if only they made that. Did they? Death to Smoochie?
Yes.
Yeah, you haven't seen Death of Smoochie?
No.
Yeah, they made it. All right, Kathy. What was it? Nobody else can guess.
Beastmaster.
What? Not the pinnacle of cinema reels.
Whoa. Slow your roll.
Hey,
Whoa,
we all
no.
knew it wasn't the best movie of all time.
Hell no.
We all knew it wasn't hitting Casablanca on that scale.
Nope.
No.
It's still a little ways away from Cats. But watching it all this time later, there are still parts of it I absolutely love, like Mark Singer in a loincloth,
Kodo and Poto.
Kodo and Poto,
Kodo,
and oh my
best part
God,
of the movie.
spoilers at the end.
Oh, I know.
So sad.
All right.
But the thing that irritated me about this movie throughout is the sleepy version of the Battlestar Galactica theme from original Battlestar Galactica playing over and over again.
That is absolutely fair.
Jim came in. The person I'm watching it with messaged me, and they're like, "Did Battlestar Galactica?" And I'm like, "I know, me." And then Jim came in, and he's like, I thought I heard Battlestar Galactica." I'm like, "It's not just me."
Oh. Rip
It
Torn.
literally was like this sleepy, slower version.
It was.
You know, this more orchestral sort of, version of the Battlestar Galactica theme from the original 1979, era Battlestar Galactica. And I had, of course, didn't notice that, however long ago it was that I was ever watching it.
No.
It's not something I thought about back then. But yesterday I was like, this is a bit distracting. It wasn't really irritating so much as it was just distracting because it would take me out of the movie,
Well, it's the same thing with was it James Horner reusing bits from the Star Trek Wrath of Khan soundtrack or other bits that he used prior to that he just keeps reusing. You're like, no, it's not that.
Oh, that would be.
Mm-hmm.
So, but that was the most jarring thing in it. The bat people who hug you and then suck all of your life juices out and then leave a pile of whatever you were wearing
The
that
goo
was
machines.
non-organic. Um, I love those. I love it. Also, I and the person I was watching it with both made the comparison of how much cooler is it to have your hawk go summon these things than Gwahir and the Great Eagles.
I mean, I'm an eagle guy, but fair enough.
Who do you want to show up? I want the blood-sucking, creepy-ass fiends with the great big, they look like people who are wearing robes with their arms crossed. And then they open their arms, and then they hug you, and then you're just dead. They basically, absorb you. Yeah, I still love that part.
So, what's your overall rating now?
Uh, my overall rating is 0 pants because I'm pretty sure that not one person in this entire movie wore pants. But yes, it's still 3.5 is where I'm meeting John on
Uh,
that.
I'm willing to relent to a 3.5.
Yeah,
I will downgrade because of Rip Torn and
yeah.
Kodo and Podo.
Rip Torn and his false nose.
It's fucking terrible.
Yeah. Why?
Oh.
Why?
I
Is it supposed to make him more evil looking? I don't know. I love the witches though. They're like the Stygian witches. It reminds me of in the Clash of the Titans. Sort of like they're they're like these super sexy. It's totally this fantasy babe, super sexy, and then you see their face, and you're like, ah,
oh.
classic.
I watched something this week that Kathy has watched, but I watched the new season of it. I don't know if if you knew, but on Disney Plus, Secrets of Sulphur Springs had season 2 come out.
I didn't know.
Yeah, it just came out, and so I was like, "Oh, Kathy had said she watched this." So I had to do
Yeah.
some stuff in front of the TV and was working on some applications and everything. I'm like, "Oh, I'll put this on and start watching it," and I'll watch season 1. Got through season 1, went through season 2, and watched the whole thing. Not spoiling for Kathy because she hasn't seen season 2.
Oh, I really enjoyed that.
You know what? I'm watching it, and it is very much a Disney TV show.
It is a Disney Kids. It has sort of a
Hmm.
flavor of Escape to Witch Mountain kind of,
Correct.
vibe to it.
It's
And
like a Hallmark Disney Plus sci-fi spooky TV show.
yeah, it's a spooky kids show.
Yeah. It's not a bad
Yeah.
show. I mean, I enjoyed it. The story was at least intriguing and appealing. I could see definitely playing this for, like third and fourth or whatever graders type thing, and they would enjoy the hell out of it. I don't know if it got renewed for another season, but season 2 was pretty good.
I
Uh,
think it's good for adults to watch too.
yeah, yeah,
Watch it
yeah.
with your kids. You're not going to be disappointed.
Yeah, there was nothing
It's
wrong with it,
intelligent.
but you can tell that it's definitely geared toward like that type of demographic. I liked it, had a good time with it. Characters are fun. Learning about what happens and everything is good. It actually has some good life lessons in there. This season, not going to spoil it for you, Kathy, but definitely you're like, oh yeah, type thing. So it'll be interesting for you to see. Season 1, season 2, about a 2 space herpes. Not perfect, but it's not bad. It's better than most things on TV right now. John?
I don't know. TV's pretty good right now. Well, I watched the next episode of The Witcher. And so now he's met Yennefer, and things are coming together there. And it's getting a lot better now that the plot lines are converging, and I don't have to worry so much about what time everything's taking place in. I just need to find out for the last bit to come together, and then I think it might be better. So we're enjoying that. Not going to give a full rating yet, but I am enjoying the crap out of it now. So look forward to the next episode of that.
Cool. Kathy, what you got?
I don't have any. Oh, I do. I did watch the first couple episodes of The Legend of Vox Machina.
I did too. So,
I also did.
what? You said you weren't
Maybe-
interested in it.
I wasn't, but you two watched it. Fucking had to watch it.
All right.
So, for people that know, this is based off of A Course of Critical Role. and their Kickstarter, which has already, I guess, been renewed for 2 more seasons, by the way. The second season was based off their Kickstarter. The third season was renewed by Amazon.
I
Didn't
can I just say I don't really care about Critical Role.
correct, but
I've
this
never
is why.
watched it.
Yeah.
I also don't. I love what they're doing for role playing in general.
Yeah,
Correct.
I
Yeah.
like.
I've never
Yeah.
watched Critical Role either, but I'm just giving a background of what it is.
Not like it's bad,
No.
but
Yeah.
I just haven't ever gotten around to it.
Someone asked me to describe Vox Machina, and I'm like, okay, if you took a D&D session, recorded it, put a ton of modern language, modern sexual jokes, sexual innuendos, and drew cartoons to it, this is what you would get.
This is like every single group I've ever played with.
Correct.
I would actually say it's worse than every single group I've ever played with.
No, it's just pretty much like every group I've played with.
It's more F-bombs and more fucking vomit and drinking and belching humor than most of my
perhaps
campaigns.
there's more vomit, but no. Other than that,
I will say that I only watched the first 2 episodes since that was an arc, and I would say the second episode is very superior to the first.
Mm-hmm.
I would say that it's very well animated, very well voice acted.
Yeah.
Content-wise, they need to throttle it back a bit.
To me, I think they were a little
like-
heavy-handed.
I feel like they're trying to prove something,
they're like-
trying to be a little too.
The first episode, they're like fucking 12-year-olds who realize they can say the word fuck.
Yeah.
That's how I felt about what was that Western? What was that HBO Western? Now
Deadwood?
I can't think of it.
Deadwood?
Deadwood. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's how I felt about
agree.
Deadwood.
It's a little more out of place here. I would say if they throttled that back, and they did. Second episode was a lot better. The first episode was like, Jesus Christ, is this 12-year-olds?
Yeah,
feels
it
like
was kind of
12-year-olds.
cringy when I was watching it. I was like,
I mean, it started cringy, it got better as it went along, and they got past that. And can we, for fuck's sake, can we get away from the bars are just there to seduce people? Where the fuck did that come from?
I
Who sells
think that's
that
just a
shit?
long-standing tradition that bards are horny.
That's just memes. No, it's not a long-standing tradition. That's memes, and memes are like.
I should say,
Yeah.
not a tradition of
Played
players.
out. It was played out a couple years ago.
Yeah.
It's boring now.
I'd like to move on from, because I'm here to tell you that there are other characters that also, like to get it on with fawns that they run across in the forest, for instance, sometimes.
Hey, guess what? We're not 12 anymore. We can have adult-style sexual things in there. It's okay.
Yeah.
We're
Yeah,
adults.
it came off as, the first episode came off as very immature, of like a bunch of 12-year-olds going, hey, we can do whatever we want. Let's do nothing but sex and curse.
I
But-
wonder
but-
if they wrote
but-
that intro portion first and then made the rest afterwards. And
That
that's
could
why
be.
it's so different.
But also, my friends and I do role play like 12-year-olds sometimes.
Once in a while, absolutely.
Yes.
But it's
So if that's one episode and then
Yeah.
the other ones are different, then I mean,
the second episode was great. I love the second episode. It
It gets better.
brought it up. Yeah.
Yeah, no rating right now because we're gonna wait till the entire. I want to wait till the entire season.
yeah.
But like
yeah.
the first one was kind of cringy. Second one got better. Third one, there's some cringy parts in it. So there's a couple. I'm like, really? Okay. I don't care.
Danny,
about
I'm going to go downstairs and stab you to death.
that. So
Just saying now.
there was a movie I watched since we all did that one that I wanted to talk about that I saw on there. It's on Netflix called Tick Tick Boom. It's got Andrew Garfield in it, and it's about the composer, the guy that wrote Rent, Jonathan Larson. I can't remember. And it's kind of like his story, and it's kind of a musical movie.
That's oddly specific.
Yeah. But it's about like his life trying to break into, Broadway. And them doing like musical and dance routines. I like plays. I like musical numbers. I mean, that doesn't bother me, type thing. But this movie was like kind of interesting because it kind of played off because Captain Mizzy and I have been talking about Encanto and how we like the soundtrack of that, and it kind of brought it up that a lot of that stuff. It's amazing how people can make up all these musical and songs and everything that go with this because I was just like, man, that's a lot to put in. That's a lot of creative thinking and a lot of creative, juices to make a musical and write these songs and everything else because there's a lot of people that do that. That's their job. Lin Manuel did that, with the Hamilton and Encanto. So it was just really interesting and kind of eye opener thing. Is the movie great? No. It kind of gets like a 2.5 for me. Did it have good music in it? Yeah, pretty good music. Was the acting okay? Yeah, it just kind of was just kind of a meh movie for the most part. If you're really big into theater and really big into like that person's story, you probably like it a whole lot more than I did. But was I entertained? Yeah. But if you're definitely into, musicals and stuff like that, you'll probably enjoy it more than I did. So, John, what you got?
Just the Book of Boba Fett.
Oh, let's go with that one because me and you got that together. Can we
Yes.
call it some? Well, we can't because we can't spoil it.
I mean, it's too late. Someone already spoiled it in this chat.
Oh, did they?
Also, I think I mentioned it, but
Oh, okay.
I heard the music at the end of the last season, last episode. I knew it was happening.
Yeah, this was definitely not.
It was
This
a
was
non
a filler
sequitur.
episode,
Oh,
and not a filler episode in the fact that it's bad. It's that it's
If
not
it's a filler
book
episode,
of
it is the absolute best filler episode ever.
yeah, because you knew that they had to connect 1 and 2, and this was the way to do it. This was Mando. I mean, it's already spoiled in chat and mentioned, but this was an episode not about Boba Fett.
No, it's about Mando and where they're going to intersect again, and a lot of fun stuff. I love they continue to build Tatooine. Tatooine's going to be the most built world in the Star Wars universe, and I'm okay with that. It's interesting stuff. You learn stuff about Jawas.
Oh yeah,
It was very good. I like the heck out of it.
a lot of universe building, universe history.
I'll be honest, people said this, and so this episode was directed by someone else. This was Bryce Howard who did this episode, not Robert Rodriguez, and you felt it.
Yes.
I think Robert Rodriguez is good for an episode here or there. I don't think he's good enough to direct them all. I don't think his style meshes enough with Star Wars. I think that's why some of the episodes felt a little off. I think it's his directorial style. So I think they need to keep doing it because Mandalorian was all different people directing it. Yeah, people do multiples here or there, but most was just different people directing it. I think they need to do more of that.
I mean, I enjoyed this episode, even though it really wasn't about Boba Fett and it was about Mando and the connecting of the two stories. There was a lot of behind the world building that I've never knew about. We learned some history behind Jawas. We learned history about Mandos.
Bo-Katan, yeah,
all that stuff.
It's stuff that you probably saw in Clone Wars, but if you didn't watch Clone Wars, you didn't know it.
Oh, I've watched most of Clone Wars, and I was not, it was cool to see because there were some really cool scenes with all those things going on in it.
Yep.
But I enjoyed it. I'm still enjoying Boba Fett.
I'm going to give this a rating. I'm going to give this episode a rating since it's a filler episode. 0.
0. Yeah, there wasn't anything wrong with it. I've enjoyed it so far, and this is a really
pretty
good
much perfect. It's great. I will say, for next week, at least Kathy and I are going to watch Death to Smoochie.
Death to Smoochie. Let me write that down. Death
Yep.
to Smoochie.
Well, I'm sure you'll be reminded of it when the DVD copy shows up on your doorstep this week. The easiest way to make sure Kathy watches something
is send her a DVD.
Deliver a DVD.
That is true.
The old Netflix ways.
So the funny thing is, so for a very long time, Death to Smoochie was very hard to find. So I usually jump on it when we get a chance. So there you go. I am certain Kathy will enjoy the movie, and I'll watch it because it's sitting on.
It.
I was gonna watch it, but then they mentioned they both saw the Legend of Vox Machina, and I'm like, all right, I don't really have an interest, but I'll watch it.
Yeah.
Uh, one more thing back to that, I do like that it's not D&D. It doesn't feel like they're doing D&D in a anime. It doesn't feel like it's D&D.
You
It
know
just
what?
feels like fantasy.
Yeah, it
You know
just
what
feels
I
like
do
fantasy.
like about it is like when the druid is afraid of the dragon and everything. Uh, you can it's like somebody who's role playing it. They're not just reading down their stats on a thing. They're not rolling dice and saying, "Oh my God, I missed my fear save or my, wisdom save or whatever." Uh, but they're role playing through, "Oh my God, I just saw this great big monster
Mhm.
and
It's gonna
I'm
eat me.
terrified and what can I do?" And they're trying to work through this, and other people are looking at them like, "How come you're not doing anything? I don't understand what's going on." And why would they? Uh,
From a role-playing standpoint, if that is someone role-playing Dragon Fear, fucking A.
yeah. And
Wow.
that's how I was looking at it was this is how people are, you know, sort of role playing through their roles. It's not like that cheesy old D&D movie where somebody actually mentions leveling up, you know?
Thank you. I had forgotten about that particular part of it, but now I remember. That movie. We should all watch that and review that at some point.
No.
Only if it's free.
Which one are we
Well,
talking
not
about?
the one with the kid from Lois and Clark, Jimmy Olsen from
The
Lois and Clark.
awful cheesy, well, maybe they all were awful cheesy. I don't know, but that's the only D&D movie that I ever saw.
Jeremy Irons, Bruce Payne.
Oh, okay.
Oof. If it's free, I think we should all review it at some point.
Yeah, Yule Bowl D&D.
It's you both didn't make it. That's the scariest part. He made the Dungeon Seed movie, which I hear was actually worse somehow, which is impressive.
Uva?
You Bowl? He's, oof. You know who he is,
Oh.
right?
Nope.
You
Ooh. I hope you've never seen one of his movies. He makes, using German tax laws, because he gets a lot of credits for making movies in Germany, he makes shitty movies of whatever he can get his hands on.
Oh yeah.
And then if you want to criticize him, he's going to threaten you to a fight, because
Yes.
apparently he's an amateur boxer.
Okay.
He should not be allowed to touch anything, but somehow he still is.
Yep. One last thing before we get out of here, I did decide to go ahead and watch the full American versions of Ghosts, based on the BBC series.
Why would you do that?
I had some time and I needed some noise, and I'm like, okay, this is free, and there wasn't anything on there.
Hold on. You need noise? There's this wonderful noise called music. It's better.
No, it wasn't. Didn't work for me. It actually got better as the series went along. It got away from the bad jokes, but still had a few here and there. Was it anywhere near the BBC version?
I think that's
Hell no.
Stockholm Syndrome not actually getting better.
Yeah. It got better as it went on, and I think it's because I liked the characters more, and the characters were more entertaining. But overall, it's not as good. I give it a big ol' meh, even though it did get renewed for another season. So it gets my, 2.5. I highly suggest the BBC version over it, and if you watch it, you'll be much happier. The American version is just it's so Americanized and juvenile that it's just the BBC just kicks its ass. So, other than that, guys, we appreciate everybody coming out and listening and watching and doing whatever. Make sure you go check out our sponsors if you haven't. They have some really good products, and make sure you check out John Sundays and Mondays for his MechWarrior online streams. Don't forget to check out. Sorry.
Thursdays also?
Thursday nights?
Yeah.
Oh,
Thursday
you made me
night's
take.
challenge night.
Oh, that's right. You started doing that the challenge night. I need to put that back on there.
I've been doing that the whole time.
Oh, I thought
The
you
only
had
thing
me. You had me take that off on Thursday.
No, I had you change. You should have just changed the time so that I'm only screaming for 2 hours every night. See, this is how much Gonzo pays attention to John.
Gonzo's
It's
been
a hard
busy.
knock life. Dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun.
And Thursday nights. I, as the poll is over, will be changing to Wednesday night for the world building. Been requested by a couple other people off stream also to go to Wednesday night. And then don't forget to check out Kathy Tuesday through Friday on her own channel. Tuesday through Thursday she does her painting. Friday she does her reading. You still working on the Conan books?
Yeah, we did a Conan story this past Friday.
I should
It
see if I
was
still.
one that appeared in Weird Tales in 1933 called The Tower of the Elephant by Robert E. Howard. So yeah, we did Conan, and I read all of his dialogue in my best Conan the Barbarian Arnold Schwarzenegger voice,
Awesome.
as I always do, because Conan.
I saw a clip of Arnold Schwarzenegger with his sword from Conan. He's still got it. Conan the King, when?
Let's see. We're going to send y'all off to Lear Dragon. She's doing some
Yay.
RPG. We're going to send y'all off to her. Guys, please take care of yourself. Please, please, please look after each other. Please be safe. We want to see you when we can. We appreciate you coming out. We appreciate you listening to us on all platforms. For More Than Dice, I'm Gonzo.
I'm John.
I'm Kathy.
Good night.
Now you can take your cat ears off.